This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago, coming from the 606 Media Studios. This is the TCF podcast with Big Z in the house today. We got JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football, and hopefully some of the other guys will show up. Well, I'm not sure yet. Everybody's enjoying their Easter, so happy Easter to everybody and their family. Episode 188 is brought to you by 606 Media, True Chicago sports fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Get your shirts now. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, X, hit that subscribe button. And if you're on your favorite podcast, remember to go over there and give us a 5-star review. You can support us with monthly subscription at anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. Go over there and click on the support button. You can subscribe for as little as 99 cents. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is a live edition, the special Easter edition of our TCSF pod. Illinois was taken down by UConn, and we were Illinois fans, but it was expected. The Bears are quiet right now, which is nice. It's very nice. Cubs and Sox. White is the home openers. You got a home opener here and a home opener on Monday for the Cubs. And we'll look at this past opening day weekend. The Bulls continue to fall down the standings. And I think they're playing now, but all that and more. But let's get started with Illinois basketball. They had a hell of a run, getting all the way down to the Elite Eight and going against UConn, which is a powerhouse. UConn is favored to take the whole thing, take the championship, the NCAA championship for the men's. And it was close in the first half. And I know JC was out doing his thing this weekend, so he didn't get much time to watch it. But there was a 30-0 run in the second half. This game was tied at the half. And, there was some glimmer of hope at halftime. But Terrence Shannon Jr. was not enough for the Fighting Illini to overcome UConn. UConn came over with a defensive game plan to shut down Shannon and then make the rest of the players on that team beat them. And that was literally a Little League basketball plan to do. Just take out their best player and let everyone else try to score. And as we saw, and if you didn't see, it was ugly. You don't need to watch that game over. It was bad. Had no offense coming from the Illini. They took Shannon out and made players like Marcus Damask, Quincy Guerriere, and the rest of the guys, the cast, to beat them, which they clearly did. Damask had a great start to the game and kept a little bit in his. The 15 points in the first half is huge, but UConn made some halftime adjustments and held him to 2 points in the second half. I mean, this was a beating in the second half, and it just shows you that UConn is in the upper echelon and will be competing for that title. The tournament's still going on, and I'm pretty sure everyone's bracket is busted unless you have UConn winning it or maybe even Purdue. Those are the two teams, the two powers that I see, with the possibility to win the whole thing. So,
yep.
What's your impression? Yeah, I don't have that. I think I have the Bulls game on the TV over here. So
yeah, no, it just finished up a few minutes ago. NC State took out Duke. So it's it's Alabama versus Purdue, and then UConn versus NC State. But those are your final four. I don't know if I have the matchups correct, but those are your final four: Alabama, Purdue, NC State, and UConn.
So. That's wild. That's why NC State, being the 11th seed, is continue to push through and get to the Final Four.
Yeah, they were saying something about a 1983 team which was obviously before I was born, but that's like the last time NC State has been relevant
I was too.
in the Final Four. So it's been a long time.
Been a long time. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, we all knew that Illinois wasn't a powerhouse. We all knew that Illinois had literally one good player and a bunch of role players. So, will Shannon go to the league next year? Will he declare? I'm not sure. Maybe he tries to run it back, and maybe they get some talent around him. I don't know, but usually, if a college player has a great season, has a good showing in a tournament, that's usually where they exit right and just go to the NBA and get paid. I don't know what his NIL money is right now at the moment, but why wouldn't you just go to the league right now?
Yeah, I honestly, that's probably what I would do. Again, I don't know what his draft stock would be, what his potential, salary would be for a team. But yeah, I would think you exit stage right, and especially like if you're looking at a team where you know what your team is already right now. So unless they can really bring some guys in to help you out next year, yeah, I think you're exiting stage right and moving on with your career.
Yeah, most definitely. We will probably see him declare for the draft. So, it was a fun time for the Illini. They had a great run. Nothing to be ashamed of.
No, they
This
did
was,
better than expected. So hey,
yeah, exactly. Last time it
kudos
was,
to them. It's like Loyola a couple of years ago. Where that's like the Cinderella story. They should have been knocked out 2, 3, 4 times, and they end up doing the same thing. So, again, congrats to the Illini. It's always good to have a home team to root for. Even though maybe they're not necessarily your particular team, you didn't go to that college, but
right.
it's always nice to have a team from Illinois, that you could root for in the March Madness. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the rule of thumb, right? If you're in whatever state and you kind of adopt whatever state school or gets in. So even it's not your school. If you went to Northern Illinois,
Yeah, like I feel like it's different for like college football. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
oh,
it's way more serious. Where like I said, like especially Illinois schools, like there's no rivalry in like Illinois where it's like you know like I said, Alabama versus whatever, college football team like Michigan versus Michigan State or,
mhm,
something like that. Like Illinois, it's like our teams are never really good enough to really have a rivalry against each other.
yeah,
So it's one of those where like if any of them make it to March Madness, we're going to support them like as a state, as a, Chicago, whatever you want to call it, as a fandom, like we're going to come out and support you because like I said, you're from our state. So
yeah. So it's been since what 2005, which was a hell of a year for Chicago sports, if you don't mind me saying. But it was good. The Bears were doing well. The White Sox did very well that year, and the Illini did very well that year. So, congrats to Illini, and we'll hope to see you at the dance again next year. You want something where you have a program that continues to show up at the dance. That way, you build a fandom, you build rivalries because, like you said, there really is no rivalry besides Illinois versus Illinois State, just because they're next to each other geographically. So, congrats. Let's move on to opening day weekend. We had the White Sox in town, and I just want to address something because a couple people DM me, text me saying, I thought you weren't going to the game, and it was literally last minute. My plans were just to watch it at a bar, but I was able to get a ticket for a very cheap price with a package with food and some alcoholic drinks. So
so you
I was
so
able.
you gave in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like an 18-year tradition. I didn't want to break it.
Again, glutton for punishment. Well, but
Yeah,
it is one game, so I guess
yeah.
you don't want to ruin the Undertaker streak here. Yeah.
That's right. I rose from the dead of my feelings for the White Sox and attended the White Sox. It was a decent game. Man, it flew by so quickly. The Tigers were on top 1-0 I didn't get into the stadium until about the third inning because it was so jam packed. They did not have adequate staff.
Did I not bring this up like a couple months ago where I talked about like I attended a Sox game and did not get until the third inning because
Yep.
and people they just started bum rushing like security because they got tired of waiting, and it was just like it was like they had like all these sanctions put up and like you have to enter through here, and like dude, people just started bum rushing the time I was there because again it was already third inning, and like I don't know what they're like. They must have like 80-year-old people working there just like with like wanting people slow as hell, because it's like how do you not get people in? Like it was just it was crazy.
It's so bad. It's so bad. You really have to get there an hour. You have to be in line an hour before the game starts, just to get to your seat at game time. And especially opening day where you want to see the ceremony. I mean, not necessarily the guys being paraded around in the cars, but I did want to see like the flag and the national anthem, and they had the choppers flying over. That's always a great experience, the fireworks and all that. So it makes it, puts the cherry on top for you being attending an opening day. But my biggest thing is like now with the pitch clock, these games are flying by. They're 2 hours and 15, 2 hours and 30 minutes max. And
I was gonna say I haven't been to a game since they went with the pitch clock. So like I can't even I was gonna say I can't even imagine like how quick things move now.
It moves so fast. And if you're thinking about like, okay, so and just full disclosure, right? We know that the Sox don't fill up their stadium. Opening day or like Elvis night, like theme nights, it's jam packed. Weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, jam packed. Excuse me. Which really sucks when you got to go to the bathroom, right? So I mean, there's a line of like 35 people outside the bathroom. It takes forever. So you're taking about what, an inning or two to go to the bathroom? And let's say you're trying to get a beer, that's another inning. So that's 3 innings right there. I got in.
Troughs, baby. Got to go with the troughs.
I'm not opposed to the troughs. I don't. That doesn't
It's
never
like
bother me.
waiting for the urinal, man. It's if there's enough room for you to get a shoulder in, you got room to do your business.
Just don't cross streams. Little Ghostbusters joke there. Right, and then you try to get a beer afterwards because you just emptied the tank. You want to refill it. By the time you're done with that, 3 innings are gone, and I mean it was a low scoring game. It was 1-0, so it was 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 3 up and 3 down, really quick. So by the time I was trying to get my second drink, I was in line. I was the second person at the register. 7th inning finishes. They're like, "All right, everyone out." I'm like, "I'm in line. I'm right here. It's so close." They're like, "Nope, everybody out. We don't serve after the end of the 7th." I was like, that is the dumbest thing ever.
That is crazy. Like, because
How much money it is.
they got to figure something out. Like, I understand the pitch clock, whatever. But I mean, what is the pitch clock? Is it 30 seconds, 34 seconds, or like what's the time on the pitch clock?
It might be 18 seconds at this point. I
Yeah,
think it's 18 if there's no runners, and like 21 or 22 if there is. I'll have to recheck.
Yeah,
That's something
like to me, it's like it should be like if it's under 30 seconds, like to me, 18 seconds, like that's just because again, they're like the owners. I can't believe the owners are putting up with this because they're losing so much in sales and concessions.
Yeah,
as well. I mean,
yeah.
like I said, like I understand for TV purposes, you want to keep the game at around 2.5 hours because of commercials.
But why? Every sporting event is 3 to 3.5 hours. A football game is literally 3 hours and 15 minutes, 3 hours, 3 hours and a half. Game start at noon. The next game starts at 3:30 because they know it's gonna be 3 hours, 3 hours and 15. There's a little commercial. They do the preview of the game. Boom. Next game is up at 3:30 on the dot. It's the same thing. A basketball game starts at 7. Okay, that maybe go a little faster, maybe a little longer. It ends at 9:45. At 2 hours and 45 minutes. But there's a halftime for 15 minutes, right? So it takes you about 3 hours. Like, come on.
Again, if you remember, they came out with like a whole graph of like from 2000 to now, like how the game steadily kept getting longer and longer and longer. And I get it. Like all these dudes, they have their own rituals before they, step in the batter's box and
Yeah.
all this ridiculousness. Like I understand all that. But to me, like, calling for a timeout, stepping out of the box, all that stuff, like you got to allow it somewhat. But again, for an 18-second pitch clock, I don't know. Like to me, like 30 seconds would be more than enough. And then, like I said, like each batter gets one time they can step out. Again, I don't know all the rules of like, because like I said, I haven't been to a game since all these new rules. But like I said, to me, it's just again, like I can't believe the owners are like not like furious.
Yeah. So we talked about this.
If you lose
Yeah,
20% of your concessions across every game for the entire season, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, we talked about this on a previous podcast where we said, once they implement them, like they're going to lose so much money because if you look at it, again, if there's long lines to get into the building, then people are getting in the third inning. Okay, that's revenue lost because you didn't have adequate staffing. It takes forever to get a beer because you don't have adequate staffing. That's more money lost. The game moves so fast now. You're losing millions by the end of the year on concessions, on beer, on everything. And you know what? It really, if you're a baseball purist, you hate it because I'm there at the game and I want to enjoy the game, and it's me a time away from home and I'm outside. It's beautiful. It's great to be there. I don't care how long the game takes. That's the beautiful thing about baseball. There isn't a clock, and now they've instituted that and said, well, it's got to finish quickly. I'd rather you juice the balls. The balls.
Again, I think I really think they did it because again, the graphs show just like how long the games were getting, that they had to do something to like cure the symptom. And I think they just went a little too far.
It's an overreaction.
And like I said, like again, I think give it 2, 3, 4 more seasons, and they'll definitely be like, okay, we can relax on a little bit of, the rules a little bit. Like I said, like, instead of 18 seconds, it should be 30 seconds. It's same thing. The time between an NFL play is, you have a finite amount of time. I think it's like 43 seconds or 38 seconds,
40.
Whatever. But again, you have a certain set time in between plays. Again, how long it takes for a batter to get into the box, how long, like all that stuff I understand. But at the same time, like, the pickoff plays at first, how many times you're allowed to do that. To me, like all that is kind of like you should be able to do your thing. You shouldn't you shouldn't be told like, oh, you can only try and pick a guy off twice and then like you have to go home, like you have to pitch. Because then it's like, okay, now like the runner knows what I'm doing. It's a whole thing. But at the same time, they shouldn't be able to stand there and throw to first 7 times in a row. Or hopefully every one of your pitchers is like John Lester and he never throws to first ever.
Oh yeah, we could definitely go down this rabbit hole and just go down these rules that are just silly for baseball. But opening day at the end of the day was fun. Got to see a lot of people I don't get to see on a regular basis. We did come up on a short end. I think they had 10 strikeouts that day. But Garrett Crochet did look really, really good. If I'm pulling up his stats at the moment, for his first showing, for his first actual starting pitching, he pitched 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 run, and 8 strikeouts. That is legit. He had the one earned run, which is I believe it was Javi Baez who scored. Our arch nemesis, who just does so well at the cell. I have no reason, no idea why he's the one that just is. I think he had a home run the other day too. Might have been yesterday, but he is just a pain in the ass, and he's been like not being able to hit all spring training. I think he had like 2 hits in spring training, and just comes up as he enjoys being the villain. He really enjoys being the villain. He gets booed every time he's up there, and he is. What did he do the second day? Oh, he went 0 for 5, which is what I like. On a second day on Saturday, Sox were down 3-0 in the first, came back, had a lead 6-3, and then gave it up in the 10th. But you had Robert, who had a great day with two-run home runs, and just a monster of a game, just over 440 and 420-foot home runs. But as expected, there's really not a lot of help. There's not protection. Eloy is Eloy. We'll get to him in a second. He goes 0 for 5. Moncada goes 1 for 5, and those are the bookends. Those are the people that are protecting Luis Robert. That's bad. That is bad, and we knew this was bad, right? They traded all their talent away, and this is a reset season. One other bright spot would be the new kid, I can't say his name, Shumaki. I don't know. Brandon Shumaki's a rookie. His first major league at bat was a home run as well. He went 2 for 4. And then even our local product, Nicky Lopez, went 1 for 4. So do I see some positivity, or do I see a change in the White Sox? 100% I do. I see them running more, stealing more. They're faster. I just wish that they can hit and protect the lead, which they don't. They don't have a bullpen. But did you get to catch any of the White Sox game, or you were busy working?
I was busy working. Unfortunately for me, like baseball is one of those where like it's really tough for me to catch every single game.
Yeah.
Like I said, even the Cubs, like I get the news, I didn't get to see like Justin Steele get hurt. Which sad to see him go down, but luckily it's not a season-ending injury, so knock on wood, he'll be back soon enough.
Yeah, that hamstring. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like I said, I work a lot of evenings, so like I might catch the first inning or two, before I go to work, but a lot of times I don't get to watch, full games very often, and especially now that, Cubs are, the marquee network and all this other, garbage, it just makes it harder to enjoy, catching a game or watching a game. But, it's definitely one of those, for you as a Sox fan, like I'm kind of excited to see especially if it's a team of no name guys, like
Yeah.
let's see what they can put together, sometimes it's that ragtag team that you don't expect, that it's a bunch of no name guys that come together. They're kind of cast offs, or you know they're playing for each other, that they actually end up doing pretty well. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see what they can put together. Again, we don't have very high hopes for them, or high hopes for the season, but like I said, maybe they can squeeze out 20 wins, or some. Like I said, maybe they do better than expected. Like I said, I don't think we're talking a 90-win team, but like I said, if they can put together, I don't know what would you say, 35 wins?
No, they'll put more than 35 wins. That's pathetic. I think they put up at least 58 wins,
Okay.
which will put them at what 104 losses. Yeah.
Okay.
That's being realistic. Just looking at the lineup of Benintendi, Moncada, Robert, Jimenez, who just got hurt today, running the first. I was like, why isn't he hustling? And then they showed the replay, and he just, as soon as he came out of the box, he has a quad issue, inner quad issue, or one of the muscles. So we'll see how long he's got. He's hurt every year, and I never relied on him. Galvin Sheets, Andrew Vaughn, Shumaki, the new kid we just got from Atlanta, Paul DeJong, who we also signed at shortstop, decent. Dominic Fletcher, he's a utility player. Kevin Pillar, that's just a clubhouse guy that we put in there. He's an older guy, and then rookie Corey Lee, our catcher. So yeah, there's nothing to be excited about. But like you said, let's see what the young kids can do. Let's see what Chris Getz is actually doing. What is his vision? What is he trying to do? Because from right now, what it looks like is that he's putting a lot of players that are just like him when he was a player, and he was just a gritty player, wasn't great, slaps the ball, gets hits, steals. If that's a team that you're going to put up there, that's fine, but you're going to need 2 to 3 boppers, 2 to 3 home run hitters in that middle of the lineup, because you're going to need some home runs, especially in that ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing the one thing I will say, watching the Cubs of 2015, 2016, home runs are great, but at the same time, if you can't play small ball and put the ball in play and move the base runners, you also saw what happened to the Cubs after that. I mean, we had to blow up the team because at the same time, when it came time to the playoffs, they're not giving up the home runs. You have to play a whole different ball game. And unfortunately, we had players like Chris Bryant and some of these guys that, they want to swing for the home run. They don't want to change their swing to play small ball. So,
Right.
and pitchers are changing their release points and, with all the statistics and, the pitch graphing and all this stuff now where they keep track of all this, it changes the game so much where, contact points and everything change, on a daily basis because everything is tracked now. So, like I said, to me, you definitely need some guys that can play small ball, and that's why I loved Ben Zobrist and some of those guys, because when it came time, they could hit for a single or a double, and
Right.
get on base and move guys along, and yeah, but you also had guys that Chris Bryant and Javier Baez and Schwarber and whoever, yeah, they could hit home runs, but at the end of the day, if they also swung at a lot of pitches that went in the dirt, especially Javier Baez. I can't tell you how many breaking balls and curveballs that ended up way outside the strike zone and in the dirt that he swung at.
Yep.
And no matter what, he couldn't lay off of them. So, like I said, to me, I'm kind of excited to see what your team can do. Like I said, hopefully they can put something together and play for each other, and prove that they deserve to be on an MLB team.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're fighting for. So, switching over to the to the other side of town, the Cubs open against the Texas Rangers, the defending champions. And it was a very, very good game to open the season. It was 3-3 going into extra innings, and the Rangers came up on top.
I should have put the bet.
Yeah, you should have put it. They lost Justin Steele in the first game. He goes on to injury for a hamstring, and then as soon as we know anything, we'll post it on the Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
It came out. He's going on 15-day
Is it?
DL. So like I said, he'll be out for 15 days. So I think that's probably two starts for him, something like that. So
and he goes down for a rehab assignment. So you're looking at 3 weeks.
Yeah. So like I said, probably about a month.
Yeah,
is what I heard would realistically. They said he'd be out for the rest of April.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cubs got their butts handed to them the next day. The Rangers put up 11, Cubs 2. That game got out of hand really quickly, and there's nothing much to say about that. But, I mean, you're playing the defending champions. Obviously, they can hit and they have great pitching, but no hits from Horner, no hits from Suzuki, no hits from Bellinger, no hits from Miguel Amaya. Morel did have 2 hits. Swanson had 1 hit with I believe he had a home run that day. Yes, he did. Hap had 1 hit. Garrett Cooper he had 1 hit DHing. Yan Gomes 0. Michael Busch 0. I mean, again, 2 runs is not going to cut it against the defending champs. The Rangers are just legit really good team. If you don't know who they are, you haven't been paying attention or under rock. You got Simeon Seager, you got Evan Carter, Adolis Garcia, Josh Young, Wyatt Langford, Jarrett Walsh. I mean, these names may not seem familiar if you're an old head, but you really got to pay attention to these guys because they can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So Cubs did actually come back today, Sunday, and redeemed themselves so they don't get swept. They won 9-5. You had Happ and Suzuki redeeming themselves with 4 and 2 hits respectively. A homer by Morel. Swanson 1 hit. Morel literally with 3 RBIs, Suzuki with 2 RBIs, and Happ with 2 RBIs. So they came back and responded against the champs. The Rangers only put 5 runs up. But, Cubs, I really think it's going to come down to that bullpen and how often they get used. Jordan Wicks went 4 innings. Mark Leiter Jr. 1. Merriweather 2 innings. Nerys 1, and Alize 1. So there's a lot of bullpen use early in the season, especially in a game like this. And you also had a game the night before and the night before that where you taxed the bullpen. And using a bullpen this early in the season is not a good thing, and especially if your bullpen is still trying to find its identity. I'm not wishing any ill will towards the Cubs just because I want to see them do well. But they do have a tough road coming up. They're playing the Rockies, which should be gimme games. They should be gimme games.
I was gonna say, me and my guys were talking, and supposedly the Cubs have like one of the hardest first months of any of the teams in MLB. So, like I said, we'll see what happens. I think especially going against the Texans or Texas, we definitely had to go to the bullpen just because, like I said, I mean, if you're getting crushed 11 to whatever, why are you putting the innings on your starter? If he's the one getting crushed. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think as of right now, we're using the bullpen, but like I said, I think we'll wean off the bullpen for a little bit, especially against Colorado. I don't, hopefully they're not that good of a team where
they're not that good of a team.
Let our starters go a little further than 4 innings.
Yeah. So where I'm worried about is that right after the Rockies, you have 3 with the Dodgers, 3 with the Padres, 3 with the Mariners, 3 with the Diamondbacks. Then you have the Marlins, Astros, and Red Sox to close out the month. Oh, I'm sorry, and the Mets to close out the month. Like you said, that is a very tough April.
Yeah,
that is a very tough April with, you're playing the West Coast teams early. Maybe you some kind of an advantage playing in the cold that they don't get to play in, but the Padres are studs, the Dodgers are studs, the Mariners are a good team, but the Diamondbacks, they were just in the World Series, so look for that game to be competitive too. And then you always have the cheating Astros, so very tough month for the Cubs. All right, you want to take a break real quick?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15.
For 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to Nowhere on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
Thanks, Sean. Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fans podcast with Big Z, JC Dynasty Fantasy Football is in the house. And this is a short episode. So we're gonna close out the episode with our Chicago Bulls, who continue to slide down in the standings. Right now, they only have a 3-point lead against Minnesota. Never mind, a 1-point lead against Minnesota. They literally were up like 15 earlier. They don't have many games left to be playing around. They have, let's see, they have
just lose out already.
I would prefer that.
Follow the season. Let's regroup. Let's get the draft pick, and
I would literally prefer that.
Like I say, I don't know that we re-signed DeRozan or not, but like I said, we're already looking at next year. This year's over with. I mean, we lost Paul.
Ball. On the ball.
Well, Ball, but I was thinking Bear Paw. Oh God, Williams. Like we lost a couple of guys, this season already, and then, like I said, you still got guys like Mr. Glass and everything else. So, we've been struggling for some time now. That, like I said, it's just old Yeller take us behind the barn, and just put us out of our misery, and let's start again next season.
Yeah,
that's my viewpoint on it, at least.
It's bad. It's bad. I'm just gonna put it on there, see if I can put it on there.
Like I said, I don't even want to think about like them making an in tournament, in playoffs, whatever. Like let's just move on. Like, just make sure your record's bad enough where you're not going into this little tournament, and let's move on. Like I said, it's
right now they sit in the 9th spot with depending if they win this game or not, and then they play the Hawks, who are right.
Don't we have some like protected picks right now? Like depending on where we finish.
I don't even remember what the picks are that they have, because I don't know. I don't really makes a difference, because I don't think the Bulls draft very well.
No, I thought we looked it up a couple of them, like
probably
it might have been from another team where it's their pick is protected, but I thought I remember a couple months ago we looked it up, and there was some protected pick. So to me, as long as we're not losing picks and whatever, just lose, please. Like, let's just get it over with.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm over here looking at the picks. Let's see. First round, they do have their own. 2024 is lottery protected from Portland. And then they have their own going all the way to 2030. Let's see, what else do we have? And then we don't have a second round until 2028. So, 2025 we don't have one.
Yeah.
So next year, because that was part of the San Antonio trade.
Right. Yeah, I thought, but I thought it was protected based on where we finished.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it was top 9 or top 10 or something to that effect.
Yeah, it is protected. But Jesus, I mean, come on! Like, talk about mismanagement of the roster, of your picks, of your your talent, developing talent. It's so bad. Like, just literally tear it down to the studs, and that's so bad, because every Chicago team has been through a rebuild in the last 5 years. Every single one of them.
But again, I mean, if like we have no picks right now, we were going to get no picks for Levine, because he was looking so god awful.
Yep.
What we were going to get for DeRozan, a 2nd round pick. Caruso was going to be probably a 2nd round pick. So it's like we're not getting anything back of value. So it's like, I mean, I kind of see where management's like, well, screw it. If all we're going to get is a 2nd round pick, I'd rather just keep these guys and put them back out on the floor. And I mean, like I said, it's not a good situation for this team right now.
No,
because like I said, you have none of your own picks, and the guys you have on your team are not of any value to get any picks in return. So
Yeah, I mean, do you blame the GMs at this point, or are you just like, oh well, we're just unlucky because Lonzo Ball was the main cog to make it go, and then you lose, Levine, and then you lose, P. Will. Is it based on are we blaming injuries, or are we blaming inability to fill a roster correctly?
Both. Because to me, like, you knew Lonzo was hurt. Like, why didn't you go and sign Derrick Rose or sign a point guard in general to fill Lonzo's shoes? Like, I understand, like, you had hoped that Lonzo would be back, but after the second surgery, it's like, hey, we don't know when he's coming back. Like, we should have had a point guard signed this offseason to play, and I understand, like, there was some hope that Io and Kobe and like some of these guys would step up, but that's no excuse. We should have signed a veteran point guard that would have come in and played. Kobe could be at the 2 position, and like I said, I mean, we needed a true point guard who is a distributor. Like, and that's what Lonzo is. But at the same time, like, we've known for a couple of years now that Lonzo is not right.
Yep.
And for them to ignore it completely and not like try to get someone of veteran, because I was it Patrick Beverly? Like, there was rumor in the offseason, like, we were looking at a point guard, and it was just like, no, like, they didn't even try. Like, you know what I mean? Because you always hear the rumors of like, oh, this guy would fit perfectly, into the Bulls, and he's a free agent. That's who they should really go after. But like I said, it was like when time came, they didn't do anything.
No,
Like, they sat on their hands.
Yeah, they're so used to of being happy being in the middle because the stadium is full. And we went over this in previous episodes where
Yeah.
But
we
it's
go
just
over it every week.
you don't want to play the young guys, and then your veterans are hurt, and then you don't replace the veterans when they do get hurt with another signing or a trade. So then now you're like, oh, I guess the young guys will play. Well, you haven't really paid attention, that you haven't really developed them yet into that. You're forcing them out there. Pick a lane. Pick a lane. Are we going to go all young and let's see how these guys gel together and grow up together, the baby bulls? Or are we going to go with some veterans? Or are you going to sprinkle some veterans like Andre Drummond that's going to teach these guys how to be a professional, how to play hard? I love Andre Drummond. Great addition. But at the same time, like, you could have traded Vooch. You could have got Sabonis. You could have traded Vooch for Sabonis. You had that opportunity. Sabonis is a double-double machine, and once a week is getting a triple-double. That kid's a monster. He's a little younger as well. I just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And again, I know the NBA is way different than it used to be back in the day, but I mean, you see like a player like Drummond that will play like an actual big and go low and stay there and rebound and do the dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it plays in this, like, it's almost like the NFL now, everything's spread wide, everything's, whatever. And it's almost like if you went back to a power run scheme with an Adrian Peterson running back and just ran it down people's throats, like, because 90% or I think the statistic is 60% or 70% of defenses now just run nickel, which means like they're a smaller defense. Again, you put in a power run scheme with a bigger back, dude, you're just running over DBs like nonstop. So it's one of those where, like I said, I mean, you look at like this newer basketball where everything is fast paced, everything is, so outside 3-point shooting. Well, if you have a team that's really good at a mid game, like I feel like it could, play well against some teams. I mean, it's not going to play against teams, like I said, like the Suns or some of these teams that are really good at 3-point percentage and just will crush you, on the outside. But like I said, I mean, to me, like having Vooch stand at the 3-point line, and not rebounding, it does us no service.
Not at
Like,
all.
like I said, to me, it's one of those, like, and again, I don't know how you convince, Vooch, like, as a coach to be like, dude, get your rear end down there in the box and play as a big. You're not Steph Curry. Like, I know you want to be, but you're not, like, get your rear end down there, play like Shaq, play like Hakeem Olajuwon, play like, some of the bigs of old. And dude, you would be worth a freaking first round pick for us to trade you, but like I said, it's the NBA's changed up a lot, and like I said, it's
run and gun, throw up 3-pointer, run away. Yeah, it's different. They play, the only time they play defense is the last 3-4 minutes of a game. As the Bulls are losing at this point, but go ahead. Yeah, it
doesn't surprise me. Like I said, it's just one of those. Like I said, I think at this point we're just looking for next year where it's like, all right, we'll have Lonzo back, we'll have Kobe back, we'll have Levine back, we'll have Vooch. So like, there's your 4. Yes, we're going to lose DeRozan potentially, but who do you bring in to replace DeRozan? Because I mean, DeRozan's contract was a decent contract. So that means you're going to have money available. So, like I said, maybe we can sign somebody to come in and be a player, but like I said, it's not going to be, pretty, like I said,
it's not going to be pretty. And I don't have faith in the Bulls because they run exactly how the White Sox are run. So, all right. All right, let's transition to auto sports because it's getting depressing talking about those two teams. Do you want to do what you watching or stir the pot today?
Well, actually, I kind of want to stick on a sport here for 1 second.
What do you got?
How dare you, sir, talk trash about my bowling skills?
I wasn't talking trash. I was just like,
it's the only reason why I am on here on Easter is to talk trash to you about my bowling skills, sir.
You did
go up against me anytime. You name the place, the time.
Yeah, we're definitely there. We are definitely do that.
What is your average normally?
It's in the 150s.
Okay.
But I mean, if I pull up my last 3-4 weeks, let's see if I can open this phone.
Well, like I said, I haven't bowled in 10 years, and I bowled a 159. Then I got way too in my head game 2, and I was like throwing a little too hard, trying to put a little more curve on the ball, like all this stuff. You start you're feeling it from game 1 because you're like, dude, I haven't bowled in 10 years, and I just put up a 159. Like, ooh, like I want to do so good game 2. Like, here we go. And then like I did horrible. I threw a 119. It was not pretty. And then game 3, I was like, no, we're going back. Like, just get out of your head, throw like you throw. And then, like I said, I ended up putting up a 182, which you can go look at the scoreboard. It was mostly spare. Like, I had 2 strikes in a row, I think, like frame 4 and 5, but like it was pretty much picked up spares.
Which like that's the hardest part. Is picking up your spares is the hardest part. I think it's.
And I was picking up, what is it, like the 3 in a row, and then the 1 in the corner. You know what I mean? So I was picking up my spares. But like I said, it was definitely one of those. Like I was a little insulted, sir. You were talking some trash, like, oh, you're on the house.
Are you using your own bowling ball?
No, I used the house ball.
Right, so you're using, which is impressive that you're using a house ball and you're bowling that high. Yes, but it's different when like you're like, oh, your average is lower. Well, every couple of weeks, every 3-4 weeks, they change the pattern, and it's completely different to where you have to use a certain type of ball for a certain type of pattern, and it's a lot harder strategically.
I have my own ball, and like I said, I actually. My back was a little messed up yesterday. I was not planning on bowling. And then I got there, and then, the competitive juices get flowing a little bit.
Of course.
Then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'll bowl 1 game. And then 1 game turns into 2. And then you crap the bet on game 2, and then you're like, all right, game 2 becomes game 3. Like I said, so but hey, for not bowling for 10 years to put up a 159, a 119, and a 182, I was happy.
I'd be pumped too, especially bowling with a house ball, which is very hard to do. So kudos to you on your bowling, but we definitely are going to do a 606 Media bowling event, and we're going to bring
crush you and Steven for sure.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up on this short Easter edition of opening day weekend. A big thank you to our sponsors, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Get your shirts now. Check out the rest of the lineup on the 606 Media lineup. You have No Water the Weekend. You have Intoxicated with Big Z. And once JC finishes his production of his show,
I'm gonna be taking care of it tomorrow.
There we go. We'll have another show available for your listening and viewing pleasure. Shout out to Ronesh Panic, Serious Beats, and custom made for the beats we played on today's audio version of the show. Check out paniconthebeat.com for your moment merchant gear. Check us out on social media. If you're watching us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, thank you. Go ahead and give us, a like, a follow, share it, a review, 5 stars. Give us all the love that you can. It's only going to make us better and boost us up on the algorithm. If you want to email us and reach us at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. And for JC, I am Big Z, and we'll see you next time for episode 189. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.
Have a good night, everybody.
Happy Easter.